summer vegetables, and if you see, this is the Cretan cucumber. It's not like the normal one. So these are all summer vegetables, and I'm using a combination of them to create today's menu. So one is going to be zucchini balls, which is already the mixture in the fridge. And then I'm going to do some aubergines with caramelized onions and basil, Greek salad, fava beans with some pickled cinnamon, and fresh lemon curd for dessert.
The TransFIRe program, is it 4 years or 3 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Well, we would like another one.
Exactly.
Yeah, we really would.
Exactly. So we'll have those outputs. So all the people getting the jobs, the experiences, the learning, the LCA that's published. That's novel.
Well, the LCA for the conference.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the whole point about coming here was to try to recreate the event that I've been to with Steve Evans many times, which was where we got originally people from all over the sort of sustainability world, all over the world, all over the networks that I have and that you have, to bring them together to help mentor younger researchers.
I think for us, it was also something like a restart.
A restart, yes.
Because of a number of reasons, basically. And because of COVID, people were not able to get together.
Exactly.
So it was sort of a bonding exercise.
Yeah.
It was the fact that we spent so much time together, away from everything else, so we could actually switch on and start talking about the things that matter for the project.
And also at a place that's so different to their normal environment.
Yeah, because you can always talk about sustainability, but it's a different thing when you start living in a sustainable environment.
Like when the electricity goes off.
Oh yeah, when the electricity goes off, we go, okay, we like the candles.
Yeah.
I also noticed that because they were young people, when you gave them some of the workshops and some of the things to do, they shifted, I noticed, even if temporarily, from sitting there and being told what to do to being given permission to do your own thing in your own time. And they found that hard to begin with. Do you remember the moment? And Sanju was like, particularly like, come on, who's going to make the first move on that?
Yeah.
Now that was an interesting moment for them. TransFIRe, so a very successful workshop here as well.
Yeah, we did a survey basically, pulse survey to get a feeling as to how they responded to this week. And it was all very, very positive.
Yeah.
In fact, the only negative thing, from what I remember, was that they didn't have enough time on their own.
Yes.
Because it was so intense.
Yes. And I think for next time, and we find the same when we run our programs at ESA just generally, we give them journaling time. In fact, we usually give them some really nice books. So it's not their own book. They have their workshop retreat book. And we should trust them to do that.
Oh, wow.
It's a little treat for sweet wine. Thank you. We have to be very careful.
This is delicious.
Isn't it? She's made lemon curd.
I'm looking up now.
It is wonderful.
But you see, with Sanju, when we were discussing the program, and I said, look, I'm going to tell you we have a little ceremony at the end. Usually all of our events, as long as people are happy to.
Yeah.
It might sound a bit woo-woo.
Yeah.
But it really does land people in terms of going home. They find their own spot. It might be a tree, it might be a photograph of a lizard, it might be bees, or something, whatever it is. It just happens. The way to capture it, as you know, is we do that little ceremony. Yeah. What are you going to take back that's new and refreshing? Yeah. And what are you leaving here? And what we do in academia very often, we forget the whole human being. We've got these robots going through this. What we do here is bring that whole side, and you saw it happen. It is a magical thing. It can't be described.
Those young people, there's 5 of them now gone on to different jobs.
5 of them have gone on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brilliant. But I also think the inclusion of some of the co-Is that came here as well was very important. So it wasn't just Sanju and Kostas and myself. It was the other co-Is from the other universities.
Principal investigators.
Yeah, or
co-investigators.
I mean, I love the demonstration not only of the sustainable manufacturing or production of the
olive oil,
but also
the sourcing of everything.
The sourcing of all that, the lunch we had there, the sourcing of everything within 5 kilometres or whatever. That was by far, the best vegetarian food I've ever had. So how do you translate sustainability from Crete, where you have the sun,
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have the water always, but you do have the sun, you do have wonderful environmental conditions to be able to grow all sorts of wide ranges of fruit and vegetables and things. How do we take that back to a country like the UK where we don't quite have the same weather?
That's interesting because we were at this conference yesterday. There was a presentation about how they were recycling glass in the ancient times, and about the facts that they are finding from archaeology and how different the technologies were then, and how much they were recycling at that point. So they said that they were recycling something like 90%, and now in Greece we are down to 30%.
Did you hear that, sir?
Because it was too expensive to find
So they did
new
it.
raw materials, so they
90%
had to
above,
find a way
amazing.
to actually recycle. So I think it's not exactly trying to transfer things from here to the UK, but going back to history and finding out how
Well, we
ancestors were doing things.
we know some of our ancestors were
And
doing
do
things
that.
more sustainably.
Now that we say we have zero waste, so we're like, what do you do with the leftovers? Do you give it back to us? I'm like, no, I'm giving every ingredient a second chance. So I'm taking the orange peels and I'm using it to make an aromatic factor in the wood oven. So people don't really think correct, like zero waste. Why don't you have
That's very interesting because it depends on how you set your boundaries of the analysis. Because we tend to say zero waste and we mean zero waste at the end of life. The reality is to get to the point where you have a product you have wasted already too much.
One of the most important things that came out of TransFIRe was collaboration.
Yes.
It was between academics and then between industries. It's about 10 years ago. We wrote a project proposal which was to get, interestingly, the metals industry, the plastics industry, the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry to talk to each other because they have processes that they use that are the same. And we were looking at how we can reduce energy in manufacturing processes. And maybe if these industries talk to each other, they would transfer best practice. Because there's waste material comes from one which is valuable for another industry. And I think that's the other thing. So symbiosis is another.
The idea was basically to get them together and find a way to talk the same language, basically. Because they have similar processes, similar challenges, similar problems, but they define them in different ways. Not only in terms of waste, but also in terms of technology, in terms of practices, in terms of approaches as well.
Yeah, approaches. I mean, I know you like structure, but we don't, which means that you like strategy, okay? So we don't have strategy in the UK, but really we don't have a strong strategy for manufacturing, for materials resources, for energy resources, for creation of energy. We don't have these national strategies. I would say in terms of the next phase, what do we want to achieve? We want to achieve really the creation of probably multiple strategies of some form or an overriding strategy for the circular economy involved in materials resources, in transport, in manufacturing, in energy, in how do we pull those things together?
Communicating that message out of the borders as well.
Yes.
Because TransFIRe was to a great extent a success story. We did what we promised. We didn't change the world, but we set the clock's running basically. We started working towards that direction. But that good sort of approach should be copy-pasted and adapted to more international consortia as well. If we do want to make a change at the end.